this is Liz from People I Think Are Cool, a bi-weekly podcast where I interview my favorite creatives from across the globe. If you're looking for a dose of creative inspiration, then go to peopleithinkarecool.com or subscribe to People I Think Are Cool on iTunes and Stitcher.
You like film, from cult to classic, from blockbuster to B-movies. And there just isn't that one place with all the fan fervor and passion that's covering the kind of mad, diverse brilliance that you love.
Well, that's where you're wrong.
AfterMovieDiner.com is that fan-built movie nirvana just for you, featuring the sweet, sweet writings of the wife dork herself. AfterMovieDiner.com. Go there. Be the best you can be.
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast, the official podcast of the Alamo Drafthouse, Winchester.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the It Modcast podcast. Joining me today is Lisa Gullickson, wife dork.
Hello.
Also joining me is Brad Gullickson, mouth dork.
Hello!
And not joining us, but also he is here in spirit. It is Darren Smith, the disco dork.
Boo!
And I am your host for today, Brian Young, the turtle dork. And this is our Fistful Friday.
Pop, pop, power wheel.
And this is a great one. And also, if you're listening to this, we are currently either in Winchester, Virginia, or Austin, Texas. We're coming at you from both angles, from both directions.
Ooh, ass to ass. You don't like my Keith David?
Yeah, Keith David. Yep.
Ass to ass.
I got that reference.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is going to be our top 5 for the festival, for Fantastic Fest and Lost Weekend. We are deep into festival season, and it's exciting.
It's our favorite time of the year.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer that this year we will not be able to attend Lost Weekend, Lisa, Brian, and Brad, because it doesn't land. It lands on the same weekend that Fantastic Fest starts off.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful that we have Billy and Darren to attend to represent ItMod. We're sponsoring a movie that may come up in this episode. It will.
Okay.
And you know, Lost Weekend is just so awesome, and I hate to miss it, but such is life.
Yeah.
But if you're going to miss Lost Weekend, Fantastic Fest is a pretty good second place.
Absolutely. So this is you guys, real quick, third
Fantastic Fest.
Okay. So you guys feel like with Comic-Con, you guys have the ropes of how Fantastic Fest and how to approach
That's
it?
an interesting question. What do you think, Lisa?
I think that with the use of the app and how well laid out the Fantastic Fest website is, I feel like that it doesn't have the chaos of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That is true, but my stress is usually higher around Fantastic Fest than Comic-Con.
Okay.
And maybe it's just because this is year 3 versus year 10 of Comic-Con. And the stress isn't necessarily like, oh, am I going to miss, X movie or Y movie? It's more just like making sure that you're taking full advantage of your time in Austin. You want to do some good eating. You want to watch some movies. You want to hang out with some cool people.
Yeah.
You want to catch an interview or two if possible.
Yep.
So there's a little more anxiety around Fantastic Fest, but it's a good anxiety.
Okay. Perfect. And of course, we all know how Lost Weekend goes, and we're staples there.
But though it is branching out in a way where it is going to be as anxiety-inducing as Fantastic Fest, because now there's like 3 tracks.
There's 3 tracks. There's 43 movies.
Yeah.
Like 22 advanced features. There's guests coming. ItModcast, Chatcast will also be doing interviews there as well as in Austin. I mean,
it's
Lost
growing.
Weekend's blown up big time.
Yeah. And of course, I'm like, I despise change and growth is bad and scary.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss the days of being all cooped up in one theater with everybody.
Yeah.
But the idea that Lost Weekend is going to be something that more and more people get to experience is joyful.
Yeah, and already the reputation of Lost Weekend is branching out beyond, Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
And that's exciting to see as well.
That's great. That's great. So props for Andy, man, for keep pushing Lost Weekend and the Alamo and everything he's doing out there. Just doing great stuff. So let's go ahead and jump right into this Fistful. Talk about some great movies that we're going to be watching, that we are currently watching right now. We are currently in the theater chomping on some good Alamo food.
We probably should have gotten to this episode to you a week ago, but guess what? Sorry.
Yeah. you're still getting it.
You get it.
So, Lisa, what is your number 5 for your Fistful of Fantastic Fest?
Whenever the Fantastic Fest waves come out, the first thing I do is pull it up and Control F the word musical. And there is one musical this year. It is called Knives and Skin. So the way I've organized my notes for this particular Fistful, the Fantastic Fest website does a great job of giving you like a brief 1-sentence, 2-sentence summary of what the film is. And then you can read like a longer synopsis / take on the film by one of the programmers. So I'm just going to start by reading the brief summary. And it says, the disappearance of popular teenager Carolyn Harper has a profound ripple effect across her small Midwest town in Jennifer Reeder's hypnotic musical mystery. So, from reading the longer description, it seems like Twin Peaks meets High School Musical. Okay. But the songs are all British new wave hits, so you can throw in a little bit of Sing Street or something in there as well. The write-up on the website by Logan Taylor says that it's very deliberately David Lynchian, so it's guaranteed to be weird and uncomfortable and maybe even a little yucky. But it goes on to say, featuring a Badalamenti-esque score, neon-soaked production design, and gorgeous bucolic scenery, it's a fully absorbing, surreal world, which is a sentence by Logan Taylor that made me have to Google a bunch of words. So I resent that. Okay. I looked up the director, Jennifer Reeder, on Wikipedia, and she seems super cool, though I haven't seen anything she's made. She's done a bunch of short films before this. They've screened at Sundance. They've been nominated for all kinds of awards. And this film was partially financed by grants. She received a Rockefeller grant in New Media in 2002 and a Creative Capital grant in 2015. She also is a super cool feminist activist, which you kind of have to be a woman who makes films, because that is an uphill battle. But I'm super looking forward to this movie, and I hope I really enjoy it.
Nice. Yeah, just that description of it between a musical in a David Lynchian style.
But it's like a jukebox musical because it's using existing songs. I'm super curious.
Okay. All right. So, Brad, what do you have at number 5?
So I'm going to do double duty because I am still really excited about Lost Weekend. I want to highlight a few films that are going to be playing there.
You said duty.
I did say duty. I love duty. I love doing double duty. I love pleasing that booty. So what I want to do is I'm going to highlight a Lost Weekend film, and then I'll highlight a Fantastic Fest film. Okay. Starting with Lost Weekend first, I want to highlight the movie Them That Follow, which was a movie that Lisa and I saw at Sundance earlier this year. It stars Walton Goggins, Alice Englert, Jim Gaffigan, Olivia Colman, Lewis Pullman from Bad Times at El Royale, and I don't have the Fantastic Fest guide in front of me, but I do have the IMDb guide, so I'll read you that plot description. Set deep in the wilds of Appalachia, where believers handle death-dealing snakes to prove themselves before God, Them That Follows tells the story of a pastor's daughter who holds a secret that threatens to tear her community apart. I think that's a pretty good description, and that pastor is Walton Goggins. He's a terrifying dude if you've watched, anything he's ever been in. But he's not just like a two-dimensional bad dad character. He's much more well-rounded than that. And I think, when you hear like, oh, snake handling, what a bunch of crazies. The film does a pretty good job of not just mocking their faith and what I would deem the insanity around their faith of handling these poisonous rattlesnakes to test themselves. And the supporting cast of Olivia Colman and Jim Gaffigan as a couple of his followers whose son is dating his daughter, they're really good, and they have an anxious energy that is compelling as all get out, but also gives you a little bit of the skin crawlies. But yeah, this is an intense film, but it is a rewarding one that I think plays just as well as a relationship drama as it does a thriller.
Interesting.
So, yeah, Them That Follow. That's my Lost Weekend pick.
Okay.
For my Fantastic Fest pick, I'm going to pick Fractured, which is the new film from director Brad Anderson, who directed Session 9, one of my favorite movies. Okay. This is going to be on Netflix on October 11th, so you'll be able to see it real soon. It stars Sam Worthington and Stephen Tobolowsky, and the short summary from Fantastic Fest reads, an unfortunate accident at a truck stop means Ray has to rush his daughter to the nearest hospital for a broken arm, but when his family disappears, he soon finds himself in a frantic fight to discover what happened. And in the larger description of the film, they make references to one of my favorite Kurt Russell movies of the 90s, Breakdown.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Sold. I want to see this. Fractured. Yes, it's coming on Netflix, and you could go, Brad, why don't you just wait a few weeks and watch it on Netflix? But honestly, some of my favorite Fantastic Fest experiences have been the films that were destined for Netflix. Seeing Wheelman on the big screen is a radically different experience than watching it on your television set. It just is, and it plays so much better on the big screen.
That is one I wish I could have saw on the big screen, because I saw that on Netflix and I was so emotionally invested into that story. Just to kind of just be enraptured in that on the big screen. Oh man, that would have been amazing.
We've also seen Gerald's Game at Fantastic Fest.
That was a great one.
Netflix tends to bring their A game to this festival.
Yeah.
And, I'm excited to see what Brad Anderson has done. Like I said, Session 9 is great. He's also directed Happy Accidents with Marissa Tomei and Vincent D'Onofrio. Okay. You haven't seen that movie? That is a sci-fi romantic comedy that... Actually, Brian, I think you would really like.
Okay, Happy Accident.
So yeah, Fractured.
Okay.
What about you, Brian? What's your number 5?
So my number 5 is one I believe you guys have seen at Sundance, and I know you speak kind of highly of this one. I don't think it has a release date, but I think it's under Blumhouse. It's a movie called Sweethearts.
Oh,
Brad loved that movie. I fell asleep during it, not once, but twice.
But you were sleepy beepy, and they tended to put them late at night.
Okay,
because it's a scary movie, maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's interesting because a couple of things that really intrigued me about this. I'm gonna read the synopsis here. Jen has washed ashore a small tropical island. It doesn't take her long to realize she's completely alone. She must spend her days not only surviving the elements, but must also fend off a malevolent.
That's a good word. That's a $10 word.
It is a $10 word. A malevolent force that comes out each night. And this stars Kiersey Clemons, who I'm a huge fan of. I loved her in Dope and everything that I've seen her in. She's great in Neighbors. So to see her do something a little bit smaller. And J.D. Dillard, who I believe was the director of Slight.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really fascinating small indie film.
So you know how Slight is like this indie version of a superhero film?
Yeah.
This is an indie version of a monster movie.
Like it. I like it already. So yeah, this has me really intrigued to check this one out. And it is on the Blumhouse,
yeah.
Correct? But they don't have a release date, if I'm correct about that.
Yeah, I think it's probably gonna end up coming out next year.
Okay. So if I do end up loving this film, that's going to be a slippery slope for our dorkies. But
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But Sweetheart, I'm definitely looking forward to. So that's my number 5. So Lisa, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is The Long Walk, which is directed by Maddie Doe.
Yeah, she's been on the podcast
That's
before.
right. She was on ItMod Chatcast 1.0. And even though I am not on that particular episode, it's still a great listen. She is a hoot, and she was drinking wine the whole interview, which is a great conversation lubricant. It's wonderful.
Yep.
Here's the brief summary. An old Laotian hermit discovers that the ghost of a road accident victim can transport him back in time to the moment of his mother's painful death. So it is a ghost / time travel movie. You had me at ghost, and then you finished me with time travel movie. I'm 1,000% in. And the description sells it as a science fiction fable hybrid, which sounds amazing. And it also says that it is a marriage of Eastern spiritualism and Western philosophy. So I can't wait to see where this movie goes. So
Yeah, that does.
The Long Walk.
Yeah, okay.
And it's got subtitles, so it's good for the brain.
Yeah.
It's like reading.
Yeah, you need that. You need
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It does the body good.
Yes.
Reading does. Is that the saying? I don't think so.
Yeah, just like milk.
Yeah.
So, Brad, what is your number 4?
So for my number 4, my Lost Weekend 12 pick is a documentary that I did not see at Sundance, but I know Lisa did.
Okay.
It's called One Child Nation.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
To watch this film with a Winchester audience, it's going to be wild because that film is super sad and super graphic.
So the IMDb description reads, after becoming a mother, a filmmaker uncovers the untold history of China's one-child policy and the generations of parents and children forever shaped by this social experiment. Yeah, it's going to be rough because it goes into very graphic detail of what goes on when a country can only have one child.
And it's directed by a daughter of the one-child nation who moved to the United States with her family. So along with telling this really heartbreaking story of China as a nation, she also talks to people in her family who have had horrific experiences with these policies and look at them, like shrug them off like it's normal. It's really, really like what a human person is capable of when they live in fear and brainwashing.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to watch it, having recently watched another documentary that Lisa saw at Sundance, which is now on Netflix. You can watch it right now, called American Factory, which is about the Chinese company Fuyao coming into Akron, Ohio.
No, I think it's like it is Ohio,
It
but
is Ohio. Is it? I can't remember.
I'm looking it
It's
up.
in Ohio. Anyway, and it's what it's like to have a Chinese business model try to bend the American workforce to their will. And it's a fascinating watch. It's on Netflix right now. Definitely do that. Okay. It's not Gung Ho, that classic Michael Keaton comedy.
All right.
Now, for my Fantastic Fest documentary pick, I am going with Phil Tippett, Mad Dreams and Monsters. For those that may or may not know, Phil Tippett is a legend of visual effects in Hollywood. He's worked on all of your favorite films, from Star Wars to Dragon Slayer to RoboCop to Indiana Jones to Jurassic Park to Starship Troopers. If you like those movies, a big reason why is because of Phil Tippett's work. Fantastic Fest's brief summary reads, after their documentary Creature Designers, The Frankenstein Complex, French journalist Alexandra Poncet and filmmaker Gilles Ponceau, I'm so good at that, deliver an in-depth, sad, and beautiful documentary about the stop-motion and visual effects artist Phil Tippett, a man who changed the landscape of visual effects in film. And I've watched and read many Phil Tippett interviews, and that word sad, I totally understand.
Okay.
Because he does not like where the industry went in the effects field and pushing out practical effects, stop motion animation in general.
Okay.
And so I bet you we're going to see a lot of grumpy Phil Tippett in this documentary. And it'll be bittersweet, but I'm looking forward to a celebration of his art form.
Okay.
He is a living Ray Harryhausen, and I want more people to encounter his work and fall in love with it like I have over my youth.
List some of those. The last one you said was Starship Troopers.
Yeah, Starship Troopers, Jurassic Park he worked on.
Okay.
All the Indiana Jones films, RoboCop. Ed 209, that's his.
Okay.
He did the stop motion of Ed 209. Dragon Slayer and Star Wars. And like all the Star Wars. When I say Star Wars, I mean all the Star Wars.
Okay, because I'm trying to think. So he mostly did like stop motion.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was a big stop motion guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Now his company has ventured into other areas as well. But
yeah.
I'm going to show you a photo. He's got a pretty recognizable. I can't do it because I'm plugged into the board.
No worries.
He's got a big long beard.
Okay.
I think you'd recognize him.
Yeah. Because I was trying to remember if I saw any of that style in Starship Troopers.
Well, I mean, there is a lot of CG in Starship Troopers, and a lot of that design work is his. But actually, there's also a lot of stop motion in Starship Troopers that you may not be aware of.
And of course, that's Paul Verhoeven, who also did RoboCop, who you worked with.
Yep.
I'm gonna put that one on my radar.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
That's a good call. I approve of that call.
All right. So my number 4, we talked a little bit about this off air. This is Jay Baruchel.
Baruchel.
I say Baruchel.
Baruchel.
I find him weirdly cute.
Yeah.
Like Jennifer Lopez on stage in Hustlers Cute.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he's adorable.
That would be interesting to see that. I like Jay Baruchel as well. He has a film that he directed called Random Acts of Violence. Brief synopsis here. A comic book writer visits the town where a serial killer previously wreaked havoc, only to encounter a new series of murders that strangely mirror the deaths he created in his comics. The thing that fascinates me about this is that I listened to an interview with Jay Baruchel on Collider that he did a couple of months ago. And he is an interesting person to listen to because he's extremely knowledgeable about film and filmmaking, and just hearing his story as far as like how he grew up and how his mother kind of fostered his love of filmmaking and how he kind of used acting to really kind of get himself where he is because he's always wanted. And so I'm just really fascinated to see what he does with this film. So the cast looks amazing. So really looking forward to Random Acts of Violence. So with our number 3, Lisa, what do you have?
My number 3 is Parasite.
Yeah.
The brief summary: Bong Joon-ho, who is the director of Snowpiercer and Okja, which we know that I love.
Great movies.
Documented love of that film. Oops, I stopped in the middle of reading the brief summary to just go off on a flight of fancy about what a wonderful director he is. 7th feature about an unemployed Korean family conning their way out of their basement apartment is a roller coaster ride of laughs, gasps, horror, tears, and perfection.
Wow.
I'm super stoked about this film. The description is purposefully vague, so I'm kind of hoping it's that the title Parasite is just symbolic and there's not actual illness in the film. But I'm wary. The description says that you go into this film thinking that it's going to be one thing, but it's actually something completely different. And the way that programmer James Shapiro writes about this film,
friend.
Yeah, he's our friend. This is the kind of film that will incite riots, like in a good way.
I hope so.
It's a haves versus the have-nots. We know that this director is really good with a strong message film.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm ready to set some stuff on fire.
All right, let's do it.
I had some folks from Film School Rejects see this film, and they said it's one of those movies where you watch it and you say, don't tell anyone. You don't want to ruin this experience for audiences. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what this film actually ends up being.
I love movies like that.
Yeah.
So
Me
I'm
too.
so looking forward to that.
Yes.
All right. So, Brad, what do you have at number 3?
So number 3, my Lost Weekend pick is a film that I saw after it premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival when it was under the title of Something Else. But since then, it has gone under a rebranding with the title After Midnight. It's written and directed. Well, it's written by Jeremy Gardner and it's directed by Jeremy Gardner and Christian Stella, who've been on the Itmod Chatcast talking about this movie. So I'd encourage you to go listen to that episode. It's a great episode. And the plot synopsis, and this film is actually playing at both Lost Weekend and Fantastic Fest. So I'm doing some cheating here.
Double duty.
Some double
duty.
duty. We love the word duty. The plot synopsis reads: when his long-suffering girlfriend disappears suddenly, leaving a cryptic note as her only explanation, Hank's comfortable life and his sanity begin to crack. Then, from the woods surrounding his house, something terrible starts trying to break in. And kind of like what we were saying about Sweethearts, where it is, it's a monster movie, it's a genre movie, but it's got a twist to it, and that sanity beginning to crack. Like Jeremy Gardner, he rides that crazy line so well, and you're like, is there a monster out there? Is there not a monster out there? And the answer to that question is incredibly satisfying.
Okay.
And it's playing, like I said, at both Fantastic Fest and Lost Weekend. I'd highly recommend Brian see it. I'd highly recommend Darren see it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And Gardner and Stella shoot the hell out of this movie. It's beautiful looking.
Really?
It's set in Florida, in the that little panhandle region.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know Florida. But it looks beautiful. Tall grass. Maybe there's a creature in there. It's funny. It's sad. It's maybe scary if things go a certain way.
Okay.
So yeah, see something else. My straight on Fantastic Fest pick will be VFW from director Joe Begos. He directed Bliss, which is also playing at the festival, which is also playing at Lost Weekend. He also directed the movie Almost Human. The brief summary of this film is: in the near future, a new drug called hype has turned America into a war zone. The addicted are more mutant than human, and they've set their sights on assaulting a VFW post in Joe Begos' star-studded cast. And that star-studded cast is Stephen Lang, William Sadler, David Patrick Kelly, George Wendt, Martin Kove, Fred Williamson.
Oh.
Those guys against mutants?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I'm in.
we're watching that.
I'm in. All right, so what is it? My number 3, keeping this on track. My number 3 is a film that I've heard very little about, but it's been getting a lot of buzz. I think coming out of I think it played a TIFF or Telluride, so something recently, and I think Amazon just picked it up. The Vast of Night.
Oh yeah, I want to see this too.
Yeah, so this is directed by Andrew Patterson. And been hearing, I think this is his directorial debut, if I'm not mistaken. I've been hearing some great things about this. And to be honest with you guys, I knew nothing about this movie other than the title until I read the synopsis before we started recording. And reading the synopsis just makes me even that much more excited to check this one out. So the summary is Aurora. I always have trouble saying it. Rural.
Especially if you start with the word rural.
Rural. Yeah.
Rural.
Rural 1950s. 1950s radio DJ and a telephone operator uncover a strange signal that could change everything in this stunning science fiction debut feature. So it seems like it's science fiction mixed with possibly some horror, with some mystery elements. I like the 1950s setting. Just seeing stuff in a genre picture that takes place in more of a period setting seems like it could lend itself to some very interesting storytelling. And just the buzz, really, that's what it comes down to for me. It's just what I'm hearing about this film and how excited people are, not just about this film, but about this filmmaker and what he could possibly do moving forward, how this could really jumpstart his career. Is exciting because I like to see new young filmmakers, especially have a strong debut like this and be well received like this. So I'll definitely be on a lookout for The Vast of Night. So our number twos, Lisa, what do you have at number 2?
My number 2 is Takashi Miike's First Love.
I'm so excited.
The brief summary: an aspiring boxer, Leo, discovers that he may not have long to live. He goes all out to help drug-addicted call girl Monica, facing down gangsters, assassins, corrupt cops, and much more over the course of one long night. It also, according to the description and the little icons, like they give you little icons about, you know, what's going to be in the film, says that this is a comedy. So, and there's going to be a whole lot of meth, which is the most hilarious of drugs. I have a weird personal history of Miike as a director because I was kind of going with a guy in college who made me watch a bunch of Miike films, like Clockwork Orange style, before my like little Catholic brain was like ready to receive these films. Like I wasn't properly primed for Miike gross violence. But I loved Blade of the Immortal 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
That fantasy film. Visually, I just thought it was unlike anything else he'd done. And it was also very funny. And so this looks like it might be a little more along the lines of some of his older films, considering like it's a Yakuza movie. But I don't know. I'm curious. I'm excited. And then that same night, Thursday night, they're doing a screening of my favorite Miike film, Happiness of the Katakuris, which we know is my favorite because it is a musical and it's wonderful. And there are dance numbers and it's great.
Nice.
So that's my number 2.
Nice. Brad, what do you have for your number 2?
All right. So my number 2 in the Lost Weekend slot is a film that I saw at the Chattanooga Film Festival this year. It's from director Rob Grant. We spoke to him on the Itmod Chatcast. Really cool guy, really interesting filmmaker. This film is it's not a comedy because some horrible things happen in it, but it's also really funny. You know, it's like despicable people doing despicable things to each other. The basic plot, as described by IMDb, is rivalries, dark secrets, and sexual tension emerge when 3 best friends find themselves stranded on a yacht in the middle of the ocean under suspicious circumstances. I don't want to say much more about the plot than that because it really unravels quickly.
Okay.
You know, it's they're all trapped on this boat. It's a very claustrophobic setting, despite the vastness of the ocean around them. And it's really impressive how Rob Grant made this movie. Watch it. Go back to the Itmod Chatcast channel. Listen to our interview with Rob Grant. You're gonna appreciate this film even more. My Fantastic Fest pick is a movie I've like. When I heard that these people were all coming together, we're talking Richard Stanley, the director of Hardware and Dust Devil, Nicolas Cage, star of Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, and some other things. And H.P. Lovecraft and his short story, The Color Out of Space. Yeah, I have to see this film. Yeah. I don't care what anybody thinks about this movie. It's got to get into my eyes. Mm-hmm. The brief summary is: unimaginable terrors befall a gardener. Not a gardener. Let's try this again. Unimaginable terrors befall the Gardner family after a meteorite lands on their front lawn in Richard Stanley's entrancing, horrific adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's short story. This story has been adapted before for the silver screen. It's a film called Die Monster Die, starring Boris Karloff. The movie has nothing to do with the short story other than the meteorite. But that's a great little film. And I'm sure that Richard Stanley is going to have to expand on the Lovecraft idea. But I bet you he's going to capture a little bit more of that Lovecraft cosmic terror vibe than Die Monster Die. So yeah, I can't wait to see this film. I think it's got a lot of potential to be a very Brad movie.
Okay. All right. That's always a good thing.
Yes.
So my number 2 is my next 2 is gonna be pretty obvious, and we talked about it on our last Fistful, so I'm just going to go ahead and mention it. So my number 2 is going to be Knives Out. This is the closing night film of Fantastic Fest. This is Rian Johnson, who we know from Brothers Bloom, from Brick, from Looper, Last Jedi. So we all know the stuff with Last Jedi. So
it's a great film, and everybody loved it. And anybody who didn't is crazy.
There you go. Thank
Probably racist.
Yes, that too. But so I'm looking forward to this film, and then a lot of the buzz coming out of TIFF about this movie has been super positive, saying how funny the movie is. It's just a great whodunit, and the way it takes a lot of the tropes of the whodunit genre and kind of flips it on its ear, and then just to the performances, specifically from Daniel Craig, and how he's given this foghorn leghorn type of performance.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, and I just recently watched Logan Lucky, and I thought he was great in that. So it just seems like Daniel Craig is really taking this time in his career to really have a lot of fun with a lot of these different roles. And I'm just excited to see just Rian Johnson tackle not just this genre, but to see how he flips it and how he does that with almost every movie that he's done, whether it's Looper with science fiction or taking the stuff from the Star Wars and just turning things.
I mean, for me, he's a filmmaker who has not made a bad movie, and each film is interesting for different reasons.
Exactly, absolutely.
And it's more of a case of what film do I love more? So, I'm sure I'm going to like Knives Out to some degree or another. And I'm hoping I'm going to love it.
Yeah. And I think if it plays the way that I think it's going to play, coming out from some of the other buzz that we've been hearing, this should be a great closing night film. So that's my number 2. Lisa, what do you have for your number 1 film?
Thank you for giving that beautiful warm-up, because I totally cheated on my number 1.
Okay.
And I put 2 films, Knives Out and Jojo Rabbit.
Okay.
Because I didn't you only get to pick 5, and I felt like I would just sound super basic if I used 40% of my slots in my Fistful to do these movies by these amazing, huge directors. And Fantastic Fest, even though there are these huge films that have a lot of buzz that everybody's talking about, those aren't really what you're going to Fantastic Fest to celebrate. We're going to Fantastic Fest to see those films that are just unanticipatable and that we find ourselves just thinking about.
Hey, this is Liz from People I Think Are Cool,
said,
a bi-weekly podcast where I interview my favorite creatives from across the globe. If you're looking for a dose of creative inspiration, then go to peopleithinkarecool.com or subscribe to People I Think Are Cool on iTunes and Stitcher.
Both of these directors, and I'm super excited about these movies, and I'm so glad that I get to see them in less than a week. Well, one in less than a week because Jojo Rabbit is an opening night film, and one in more than a week because Knives Out is the closing night film.
But you'll get to brag because you've seen it before, way before they're actually going to be released.
That's right. And I'm going to just text everybody I know and just tell them the ends of all these movies.
Suck it, losers.
Mm-hmm. Get yourself to Fantastic Fest.
There you go. That's right.
Darren.
Yeah, so Brad, number 1, what do you got?
All right, so my number 1 for the Lost Weekend Film Festival is a film that I've mentioned many times already on In the Mouth of Darkness, and that is the fantasy, cosmic horror, Lovecraftian a little bit film, Daniel Isn't Real.
I'm so excited to finally see this movie.
From director
someday.
Adam Egypt Mortimer. Again, he's been in our podcast. We saw this film at the Overlook Film Festival. Super cool dude. That's one of my favorite interviews that we've done on the channel so far. Long, in-depth conversation that goes from, Lovecraft to Grant Morrison to all over the place. Whether you see the movie or not, please listen to that interview. It's fascinating. But you'll listen to that interview and you'll go, I want to see this movie. Yeah. The IMDb plot synopsis reads, a troubled college freshman, Luke, suffers a violent family trauma and resurrects his childhood imaginary friend, Daniel, to help him cope. The film was almost immediately branded a horror version of Drop Dead Fred, and I just think that is such an unfortunate labeling. Like, yes, there's an imaginary friend in it, and he is a chaotic influence on the main character, but this is such a radically different movie, and what it is speaking to is fascinating to me, and I don't want to spoil that at all. Now, the film stars Patrick Schwarzenegger, son of Arnold Schwarzenegger, as the imaginary friend character of Daniel, and he is both super appealing and sexy and magnetic and absolutely terrifying. And I think it is a one-of-a-kind kind of performance that was absolutely necessary for the film to work, and he pulls it off big time. Now, the character of Luke is played by another son of a famous actor. He's played by Miles Robbins, son of Tim Robbins, who we've seen in the Halloween reboot from last year. And he's also incredibly good in the film. Sasha Lane pops up in a supporting role as well, and she's incredibly good. Is she as good as she is in the Hellboy 2019? That's a tough call. Anytime I get to bring that movie up, I will, because that movie is a masterpiece, and anybody who says otherwise can go straight to Hellboy's Land of Hell. Watch this movie. I think horror fans will like it. Comic book fans will like it. Cosmic horror fans will certainly like it. And I think it would be a really interesting double feature with Color Out of Space. I should have paired those. Oh, well, I didn't. My Fantastic Fest pick for number one is the new Moorhead and Benson movie, Synchronic, starring Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan. The brief summary reads, 2 paramedics find their world ripped apart when they start encountering deaths linked to the otherworldly effects of a new designer drug called Synchronic. That does not give much away. I know a little bit more about the film. I've seen a little footage from this film. It looks amazing. I just cannot wait to get it in my brain. What David Lawson and Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead are doing over at Rustic Films. After Midnight is produced by them, the Stella and Gardner movie. I'm just really excited to see anything that their little production company puts out. And I think this film is going to put them on a new playing field. Okay. Their previous film, The Endless, is a great movie. Spring, that movie is an astonishing romantic horror tale. Okay. Love that movie. And I think Synchronic is just really going to surprise a lot of people.
Oh, man. Okay.
Number one, Brian.
Oh, man. Well, for me, my number one, I'm following in the footsteps of Lisa. It's Jojo Rabbit. Yeah. Unfortunately, I made the vast mistake of not putting this on my list last week, but I was trying to be different. I was trying to because I knew you guys were going to have that. So I said, let me think of some other films like Terminator Dark Fate.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
It wants some Watiti.
Look, Jojo Rabbit and Knives Out are in my top 5 most anticipated movies of the festival, for sure, of course.
He's just trying to be too cool for school.
That's correct, because I am.
But I like that you're giving us some other stuff and talking about some other films. But yeah, we know where your heart is, Brad. But yeah, I mean, Jojo Rabbit, what more is there to say about this film? The trailer is out. We've seen the trailer. We know what we expect from Taika Waititi. His brand of comedy combined with the heart of the characters and the story, the message that he's looking to tell with this film as well. I'm so looking forward to this. And yes, this will be my first choice, and hopefully I'll get that on opening night. It's funny because, Lisa, when you mentioned the descriptive icons in the Fantastic Fest website, I'm looking at some of these on the Jojo Rabbit, and they're very interesting. They have racist, politically incorrect, Nazis, mother issues, Hitler, dickhead. It's funny. This is.
You can get lost following all the icons on the Fantastic Fest program.
This is funny. I was like, oh, mother issues. Okay.
Well, if my mom was Scarlett Johansson, I'd have mother issues as well.
Ring, 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 calling Freud.
So yeah, Jojo Rabbit, easily one of my most anticipated of the rest of the year, and of course Fantastic Fest. So those are our top 5 of Fantastic Fest and Lost Weekend 12. Again, if you're listening to this, we are deep into movies right now. There's no sexual innuendos in that.
Deep into movies? I like to be like Brad. Brad is double fisting deep into movies.
Yeah, I'm putting my weight on it.
Yeah. And we love loving all over these movies. So yeah, go ahead and check us out at ItMyCast. Of course, the website is up inthemoutofdarkness.com.
Oh my God, what?
Yes, it is live. It's out there. So go check us out.
Can you read an outdated review of Ready or Not by Brad Gullickson?
Yes, you can.
Oh my God.
Yes. So go to that website. Make sure you follow Lisa at Sidewalk Siren on Instagram and Twitter. Also at Baked Dork on Instagram and Twitter. Follow Brad Gullickson at Mouth Dork on all social medias. Of course, follow Darren Smith at The Disco Dork on all social medias and Billy Das at WB Das on Instagram and Twitter. They'll be doing all the coverage for Lost Weekend 12. Follow me at The Turtle Dork on Instagram, at The Turtle Dork 1. At The Turtle Dork, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Just follow me.
You forgot your own handle.
I forgot my own handle. Don't even worry about it. Just follow me. You know where to find me. So that's going to do it for us. Check us out on the next episode. And as always, with that, see you later. I don't know.
Call me back at 703.